Interesting is a Chinese curse. May your life be interesting. Did you know that?
I know now.
Going back to that piece I held up earlier, that yellow square piece, what is Rotary? Frankly, I don't care what Rotary is. What I care about is why I'm in Rotary. I've been in Rotary 5 decades. How long have you been in Rotary?
27 years.
27 years. I told him it was close to 30. It's not what Rotary is, it's why we belong. What is what we do? It is the fulfillment of why we believe. Getting together, the four-way test. But here's what's interesting about Rotary. Been around for over 100 years. We bring together people from different socioeconomic backgrounds, different religions, different political beliefs. And we do have our good-natured skirmishes. But we get together, we have the four-way test, whatever we do, and we have one going on now. Tom is the new president this year. We have one going on right now, where we're assessing how it affects us and how it fits the four-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair? Is it goodwill, better friendships? Is it beneficial? We look at that very cold and calculatingly to determine how we go forward, how we spend the money that we made for a better world. You've seen what we do. We're national, international, we're local. Are there any questions about what we do from what you've seen? You have a good handle on what Rotary does, what Rotary is, right? Okay, now let's get to the why. Because you're going to help us on the logo side and the brand. Why we do what we do is the most important part. That's why we assemble. So, since Tom's got almost 30 years and I've got 5, I think it's for you to now ask some questions of us as to the why. To understand Rotary, to get a feeling of why we do what we do. That's where we are. That's the presentation. Thank you for your time, but that's why we had this 18-minute video. To refocus, to look at the why instead of the what. So you don't come out with a product that's here, come out. That's help us. Since we're a wide-driven organization. So who'd like to start? Who has a question about why we do what we do? What is there about disparate individuals getting together for a mandatory meeting every Thursday at Greenbrier at 11 and 12:15 for lunch and a meeting? Why do we do that? What do you think?
Can I answer that?
Yes, of course. It's one of the reasons why you're here. You have the perspective.
A couple things I want to make note of. First of all, I'm retired contractor here in Kirkwood. Our company's been around for 53 years. My father owned it before I did. Now my 2 eldest children own the company. I've seen 100 of those, at least, over the years. I didn't graduate from college. I just went to high school. I struggled as a businessman because I didn't have a business school in high school, and I did not attend college and get my degree. What I learned was from those things right there, and I probably have more notes than any of you, and I'm retired. What I've learned has been through the school of hard knocks, so to speak, through watching videos, through making mistakes, through having to pay for those mistakes in one form or another. With that said, it may give you a better perspective of who I am. The reason I joined the Rotary originally is because an elder friend of mine, like 3 years, said, it'll be great for your business. You'll meet a bunch of people and they'll start using your company as a contractor. And I thought, okay. I had been in JCs before that, and the reason I joined JCs was to give back, to do better. As soon as I got to Rotary, I quickly learned that you don't join Rotary for business networking. You join a chamber for that type of thing. Rotary is about giving back. We are all, call it what you will, blessed with certain skills and attributes and things that we do better than anybody else, or as good as anybody else. And you And Rotary takes those skills and utilizes them to give back to our community. And you know all what we do as far as Polio Plus and the water wells and the scholarships we give right here in Kirkwood, and all the different things we do. That's giving back to our community. So the real reason that Rotary is in existence, in my opinion, and the reason it's so successful, and there's so many, 1.3 million members, is because those members want to give back to their community. All they have received in some form. Like I say, I've been in business in Kirkwood for 53 years. I started it 40 years ago or so. And this community has supported my company, people who work for me, my carpenters, my laborers. Wake up! Really are. For years and years and years. So now I can give back. And that's why I joined the Rotary years ago, is to give back.
That's the why.
That's the why.
Now,
That's the real why.
I come at it from only being in Rotary for about 5 years, not quite. And Tom knows this, I tend to see the world through a different perspective than a lot of people. See things strangely. But one of the things that struck me is that we had no cohesive image. And here I'm talking to a gentleman who, later on in the discussion, I learned by his own admission, spent tens of thousands of dollars to take his business and develop a logo and a brand awareness and consistency to the entire room. So that whenever they spoke, the message was delivered with full impact. It wasn't muddled by what you were doing or where you were going. Years ago, when I was a volunteer, this was back in my college days in the late 60s, I was put in charge of a committee for a group that I belonged to. And back then when you had, copiers were just starting to be there, but I soon learned that the way I could be effective, the way people would know that a message was coming from me, was that every time one of my messages went out, it had the same screwy border on it. It was unique, but when they got it from me, they knew it was from me and they knew what it was about. And they knew immediately, they were attuned when they read it, this is what they didn't have to learn about it by reading the first paragraph. They instantly knew it was from me and from my subject and what it was doing. I learned that when I was in my late teens. It's a very useful technique. But it goes to the communication, and it really goes to what Snett was talking about the why. As soon as they saw that screwy border, page border, they knew the why. They were already in, and they were in and read it. That's very helpful. Again, you spent tens of thousands of dollars on brand awareness for your company. We don't have that in Rotary. So whenever we do something, people have to do the uptime to find out that it's from us before they're in tune with us, before it goes out and start receiving the message. We need your help. We need a logo, and we need a brand awareness so that when we send out a message, whether it's an ad in the paper or an email or whatever it may be, we're over that first hurdle of getting people to read it. They see the logo right away and know. That's what you're going to help us with. That's the vision that I see. That's the charge that I've given Mr. Buckley, and he's accepted. He said, you guys are very talented. And you are bright. I appreciate that. It's very nice to see. That's where we're going. That's the vector arrow that I want you to find. And I want to keep it simple. So, the other thing that's interesting about Rotary, and we hope to overcome, the thing I want you to keep in mind here is that by its nature, Rotary tends to have older members. That's because when you are young and you get married and you start a family, you're tied up for about 20 years of obligations with soccer matches and whatever. You've got things to do, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. It isn't until you hit your 40s and early 50s that you suddenly got this free time and you may get bit by the bug to give back. But we need younger people. There are some Rotary clubs out there now that are even providing daycare during their meetings. that are involving families, that are trying to broaden the message so we can carry forward what we're trying to accomplish, making things a better world. There are only 3 countries left in the world that have polio of any consequence. Pakistan, Afghanistan, Nigeria, it used to be India. The 3 of them together cause spelled pain. India has been accomplished. There's an accelerated effort to do away with polio in the world to those 3 countries. The Bill Gates Foundation has pledged $200 million if we matched it, we more than matched it.
And then they came back.
And they came back again with another $100 million. We have $500 million to eradicate polio in this world. We passed the hat. We collect locally. There are 200 countries that have Rotary clubs. There's 1.3 million members right now. And that's what we do. We pool our resources to become effective. To do, as a group, what we can't do individually. That's how we give back. We also give back locally with the scholarships and with projects. Many of you may not know it, but let's go to the farmer's market. You know that pergola there on the east end? We did that. If you go down to Meacham Park to their community garden, they now have a tool shed. Yeah, if any of you gone to Quarry Park? All right. You know when you get in there and you have that outlook?
Now,
So little things that we try and do to improve our community, in addition to the scholarships. Right. So we try and do, those are small things, but it's how we give back. Those are the scholarships. We now, in order to become more effective, have started a program, an event we called the Ramble. Takes place in the spring. 10K, 5K, 1 mile walk. We had almost 200 people join us for the first. We'll do it again. But again, we need to have this stuff in place to start carrying our message. We're going to do it at our website. We're going to do it based on what you recommend. It's how we can be more effective giving back to the community, how we can increase our membership, how people know why we do what we do.
I have a question for you. I know you talked about having consistency of your brand image and wanting
Yes.
to share your message of why you do what you do, but is there any other complications that you think you have with your image now?
We have a disjointed one. For instance, we had a website up and it was a scheme of red, even though we're the Green Tree City. And that always seemed jarring to me, disjointed. So you may have seen on the thing I sent out that we want to go with the greenish color scheme. We are the Green Tree City. We want to fit into the community and support it. One of the ways we do that is with the color scheme to go with that. The only restrictions that we have, other than the 4-way test, all right, so we don't want to, grab somebody else's stuff. And the restrictions on using the Rotary International logo. Other than that, we pretty well have free flow.
I believe that it's important that we use the logo, what we call a cog, the wheel, somewhere in our brand.
Right, and it could be, and it's up to you, and I don't want to narrow your thinking, but it could be a small wheel cog turning the big Rotary International cog. And our cog could be any design you want. It could be that. I'm not trying to narrow it, I'm just giving you an idea. But it's just for an example. But having the international logo as part of our logo or brand awareness is important. People will instantly recognize that cog. You may not know what and how, we hope they'll recognize it.
That answer.
Yes.
Good question.
And I think the other thing might be the age of the Rotarians. We are an older group. So if you can bring youth and younger ideas, it may attract a younger group of individuals.
You're right, it does give a vibrancy. You know, when you do something for a long time, you tend to do it the same way. Not realizing that there's another way, another parallel track that could be faster, better.
If not for Jerry, we would not be on, Mr. DeWolf, we would not be on Twitter or Facebook or any of that, because most of the Rotarians don't go there. So why should we bother to go there? So we need your young, enthusiastic ideas.
Well, let me just say this, carrying off on what he said. Not everybody wants to join Facebook. So while we have a Facebook page and a Facebook group, not everybody wants to be a Facebook member. So what we're trying to do is, through the web page, establish a chat and forum type situation so that we can get around that problem. I understand that. A lot of people don't want to have their privacy spread out on the internet. It means something to them. They have a different way of approaching it. So we are going to focus it, try and get it done through the website. Right now, just to give you an idea of how disparate our communication venues are, we have the Yahoo groups, we have what we call the DACDB, which is the district's website for handling things, and emails go through there. We have regular emails. We have Facebook group and a Facebook chat, or Facebook group and a Facebook webpage. How do you get your message out to everybody? It's impossible. And it's too localized. We're not attracting, better that we attract people to the website, have them income, do that, and have a member, non-member forum, and be able to have them access the information to put out things about public things like our Rotary Ramble event. That's what we're going to go. Yes, sir.
I just have a really quick question. Just like among your members, what do you feel is like your most effective use of communication right now?
It's not what I feel. Sorry to think that. It's what I think. And I think the most effective method of communication is the district's email, the DACDB. Only because every single member and all their contact information is on there. It's required to be on there because of the district. That doesn't mean that we can't port that to our own website, update our information on a regular basis, and have that available through our website. But I think it's the DACDB because of that fact. Sorry to think.
No, it's fine.
And that is not a very effective method, quite frankly, because most of the members don't know how to get on it and utilize it. And it's not because they're ignorant. Well, it's because they're ignorant. It's not because they're students.
That's not a pejorative term.
Right. They just simply don't go there. It's just, even to find it is difficult if you don't know where to go. We'd like to use our own webpage that everybody knows, Rotary.com or whatever it's going to be.
And the message is consistent. We control the look and the feel, the texture.
They'll go there then.
Yeah. It'll be home. Yeah.
You guys moving forward with Club Runner?
I'm looking at Club Runner, but there are a few others out there that do the same thing. Club Runner is interesting to me. It was founded by a Canadian operation. It was really founded by Rotarians for Rotarians. And because of that, they already have a focus as to what a club needs. Especially, they already have a focus. So that means that they'll have a payment scheme in there. They'll have a way to handle events and so forth, the calendar and so forth. And so we should be able to pick that up. And as I read their cost structure, there's an initial setup fee of a few $100s, but you pay them on a monthly basis based on the number of members you have, so you don't have a large outlay. That's a very appealing thing to us because that means we have more money available to do our charitable things. So we're not going to blow $7,000 on the design of the website, and we know that we could run 2, 3, or 4 scholarships with that. That's essential. Anybody part of the Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts? At all?
Was anybody?
Was anybody?
Okay.
You know how cheap the Scouts are? How they pinch pennies, they make you take care of the equipment and make it work forever. Tents that you use have been used probably by your parents, that kind of thing. Right? They pinch the penny. They do that. They make their assets last. They do that so they can carry the program every buck they spend on asset improvement is not available for programming. They know that. And we're the same way. We want to be very careful with what we do, with the money that we get. It's called husbandry, but that's what it's called. We really want to be careful. So when this opportunity came up, it was like a match made in heaven. My gosh, pioneer business, look. Yes, we want to be part of it. So we're excited to have you guys help us. And if you folks think that it's important that we pop over for one of our meetings over at Greenfire, that'll be you and Mr. Buck to figure out, but we certainly invite you.
As a matter of fact, one of the things we're going to do is have a student of the month, I believe, that can come to the Rotary meeting on us, of course, for lunch, once a month. And whomever it may be will assign somebody like Mr. Wolf or myself or one of the women Rotarians to meet you at the door or come pick you up if you don't have transportation or if that's best. And you get to go to the meeting and just hobnob with these old folks that we're talking about. But they're all business people. They're good people, but they can certainly enlighten you if you have questions. They've all done it all as far as business goes.
To give you an idea, our group has a membership around 100. I think it's currently around 90 in that range, 92, okay? I don't know the split between men and women, but we don't focus on that. We're open to all. We don't care who you are, as long as you can help and participate and help grow your achievement status. We don't care. That's the beauty of this organization. We just don't care who you are or what you are. We care about why you're there. That's so cool. I can't tell you how cool that is. You know, when I went to college back in 1968, they had panty raids. And 4 years later, when I left, they had peace marches. The world had changed in that 4-year period, from 68 to 72. And since that time, I've been focused on the peace march side. How do you help people? How do you help people get along, get through life? It's essential. So we've got to go.
This year's theme is peace, world peace.
The current president of Rotary International is from Indonesia.
No, he's from Japan.
Japan now. Last time was Indonesia. Now, the Rotary year starts July 1st. It just changed, so I apologize for the noise. But, yes, international. International. It's really cool.
All right, what do you guys need to know to develop this thing?
You said you reached local, international, and there was one other in the thing?
This
National district.
Okay.
We like goes from local to district to national.
And the thing was it's a very flat structure. Our district here is 60-60 for St. Louis, then you go to the national and international. The international office is up in Evanston, Illinois. That's pretty cool.
It's close.
Yeah.
And yet the international convention last year was in Bangkok. Next year it's in France somewhere, I think, Belgium somewhere. It's kind of neat to get to go to different places.
So he would get to go.
Actually, I didn't go.
Oh, you didn't go? Couldn't do it.
I was busy with Kaiser.
Oh, that's right. He is working on the playground over there. Trying to get back. What do you think? Can you help us? Sure. You have a good handle? You have a good handle on it? Do you think that we're a worthwhile client for you? Have you bought into our program? Do you understand the why and how?
And really the passion. That's the amazing thing, is the amount of passion that our Rotary Club has. You don't think of passion of a bunch of people that get together once a week, but when it comes to it, if something is needed nationally, locally, internationally, they give their all. We all give our all. Whatever we can do. That's what's kind of neat about it. There's more than just a group of people. It's a passion. That's kind of hard to come by.
I think we've watched the videos, we've seen the what and the how, but until we hear like why you are part of it, and we come
That's the
to
essential part of it.
understand.
That's the catalyst.
It's giving back.
The motto of the Rotary is service above self. So if someone says, hey, we got this, we got to do it, we need volunteers, and you think, oh gee, I've got to force them for golf. You know what? You go off and force them for golf and you help. That's what happens. It's the most amazing thing. And it really is. I've never seen it before. And I've done with Scouts, I did habitat work with our church. I've never seen it like Rotary. It's amazing. The commitment. The why. The why.
Watching the videos, like, I mean, I kind of got an idea of what I thought Rotary is.
I purposely gave you the wants.
Yes.
I purposely did that so I could give you the want.
But like, being more personalized with you guys, it definitely brings like more light to the situation, and I think getting more personal with this could potentially like make it that much better.
It's one of the reasons we'd like to invite you to come and watch
Yeah.
with us, is you get to meet different
Our
people.
members, someone like Mayor McDonald, a number of members of the council. I happen to sit on the Board of Adjustment for the city. Tom's have been involved with the city. We love you back. It's the same thing, same song. It's the same. Pretty cool.
Other questions? We got about 10 minutes left. You can ask them while they're here.
With your rebranding, you said that your main goal is giving back and also compassion. So would you which one would you really like to project more, like a logo? Would you like it to be more dedication or both?
I think it's the giving back. But if the people see that, they will come with compassion. It's very hard to give somebody passion. They have to come with that in their basketball game.
Are your service projects strictly funded by members of the Rotary?
Yes.
And the projects that we do to make money, like the Ramble, the 10K, 5K run, we make money with that. And we have a golf tournament.
You put that back into the
Then we
program?
put that back in.
Absolutely. Good point.
Are there any perceptions of Rotary that you'd like to overcome?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a perception that there's a bunch of rich old men meeting at the club over Greenbrier, you know. It's definitely not the case. It really isn't. And we were required to dress up in reasonably nice clothes when we come. But that doesn't mean that Rick Reddington, who owns a plumbing operation, might not come in, he might just come in blue jeans and a dirty shirt because it's come from work.
No blue jeans.
Well, but he might.
Yeah, but you're not supposed to. Something you need to know. No denim.
No denim. On the other hand, if it's a choice of coming from the job to make the meeting or not making the meeting, attendance is required. And Rick may just occasionally show up with his blue jeans, knowing full well that better to ask for forgiveness than permission. Ever heard that one? And so
Usually
that-
don't do that till after they leave. We wait till they're out of high school before we let them get out.
Well, sometimes you have to follow your heart and worry about the niceties later. Sometimes. Grading how you do it is the seasoning that you require to do it. Fingers burning.
Although you're a part of Rotary International, is there anything that you would like to stick out specifically for Kirkwood in your brand?
Other than the color and the green tree city, it would be nice if that could somehow work into it. Other than that, people need to know that we do give back to the community. That's essential. But we also have an international bent to us, not so much national, which I hope changes, because there are plenty of opportunities nationally to help. Plenty of those opportunities. They're pretty, again, this is not majority, they're pretty backward places that don't have the amenities that we enjoy here. So I hope that changes. I'd like to see that change, and it seems to be slowly. Right now, it's either local or international, but maybe foresight.
You said you wanted younger involvement in Rotary Club.
Yes, sir.
Will that conflict with the prerequisites of joining Rotary Club, or not joining exactly, or just helping out, or?
Well, see, right now Rotary's looking at that. In fact, who's got the magazines? Let me see this is the latest one. This is an interesting topic. Can Africa feed the world? Just pay attention to that one. You're going to see that. Grains and foods that they're going to be bringing out of Africa. That could be the next breadbasket. The new, yes, Japan, I'm sorry, Tanaka. Sakuji Tanaka.
Pretty good.
Um,
Practice that 7 times before I say.
It is not enough to bring new members into Rotary. We want them to stay. We want the new young members to become longtime members. We want them to be in Rotary and be leaders for 10, 20, 30 years. How do we do this? We have to look at our product. We have to look at Rotary not with our own eyes, but with new eyes. When we invite a new member to join that person's answer is no, and then we should stop and say, why? Why is it no? This is not to pressure someone into joining, it's to find out more information. What are the obstacles to membership? Is it an inconvenient time, too much time commitment, something else? We have to ask those questions, and we need to open ourselves to the answers. We cannot say, no, we will not do this, just because we've never done it before. Why not have child care meeting? Why not involve families in projects? Why not make attendance requirements less strict or meet less often? Our new avenue of service, new generations, is an important step to ensuring many future generations of Rotary have service of self. So I'm heartened by Tanaka's message. I read that, I went, yes. It hit me right, yes, I like that. And there's no reason why our club can't get on that edge, on that leading cutting edge.
So what you're saying is the real goal here is to get more people with new views and sort of a diversity of views into Rotary instead of just the community seeing Rotary differently.
I like what you've said. I'd like to add one thing. We need more people who share the why.
Yeah, young is important, but it's not the focus, if you will.
It's the why.
Yeah. It is difficult to be a Rotarian, and there's a few reasons why. It's a time commitment. It's from noon to 1:30, and then you've got the time before, the time after. It's $15 a meal for every lunch. It's $165 to join, which isn't big money.
It's an annual.
But anyway, the main thing is young people who are not owners or managers, their bosses won't let them take off for 2 hours in the middle of a Thursday afternoon. So it's understandable that they just can't pick up and say, okay, I'm going to go to my Rotary meeting. For those who aren't in a position where they can. But for those who can, who are their own managers or salespeople who have their own time commitments, etc., those young people, we'd like to get involved.
And who share the why, the passion.
Well, yes.
Because you see, if they don't share the why, they're not going to stay. We're going to invest time to help bring them into our economy. And if they don't share the why, they won't stay, they will leave.
It is absolutely amazing how many people come with the idea that they're going to get business, they're going to network, and how short their stay is. It doesn't work that way. I won't say that it doesn't work if you show the why. But you have to have that passion before anybody pays a whole lot of attention to you.
It's got to be here. It's got to have that willingness. And then it'll be much more pleasant. You got a whole room full of, you got almost 100 people with whys. 100 whys in that room. It really is neat when you get together and start talking about people who politically may be the exact opposite of you, who may be richer or poorer than you, maybe a different religion than you, have different ideas, but when you get together, it's the why, and that's what's so important. And it doesn't come out in one meeting. It comes out in a number of meetings. We chat with different folks, sit with different folks at different tables. It comes out. It comes out working with people on projects. We've never worked with them before. spend a couple, 3 hours with somebody working and pounding nails in the sun, and then you get to know them. You get them up close. Very nice.
Any last questions?
Have you guys had previous attempts of rebranding recently?
I can't speak to that. My guess is no. My guess is no. Because sometimes when you are so busy doing what you're focused to do, you don't pay attention to the rest of it. But frankly, folks, in your lifetime, the world has changed. From where you were when you were 10 to where you are now, the world has changed. I built my first computer when you guys weren't born. 1978. You guys weren't here. Built my first, probably on my 12th one, I don't know. But the world has changed. And how we communicate, and the strength of social media, and the dangers of social media. If we don't grab hold of that and be proactive, then I don't think we're going to expand the way we need to expand. I don't think we're going to accomplish what we need to accomplish. That's essentially what we have to do.
And thank you very, very much.
Thank you guys for your time.
I would be glad to lead these here if you would like.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
But I would love to have them back. There are very few things I read cover to cover when I get them. This is one. Thank you.
Hang on to your materials. Are there just a couple of these?
Yeah.
Just one I hang on to these.
Just two. I've got the other one back to the range.
And then, thank you guys so much. Tomorrow, we're going to dive into kind of the planning process, and we're going to get brainstorming and moving. Okay, so, we're ready to go. Thank you very much. Thanks, Jerry.
Carrie Aarons, nice to meet you. I'm the instructional coach here. So, hi.
This is Carrie Aarons, this is Jerry. Jerry DeWolf, nice to meet you. I really appreciate it. Carrie has been instrumental in helping with the class.
Gary, you and I have been emailing about, I think, you